11th of February 2025. This is Hyde Park Barracks, and then the next building is called the Mint. And there's a protest here tonight outside the Mint, 5:30. There's freaking Clover Mall authorised e-bikes that are freaking everywhere. And there's a dude waiting outside the court, so maybe the Latouf is winding up as well. I think he's my he's the ABC, my old nemesis from St Mary's. So maybe the Latouf thing is winding up as well. But I think they're two separate things. And there's the communist, Australian Communist Party leader guy, and there's all the socialist tables and everything else. But and then the cops all seem to be spread along outside the Mint building, which is this building. Sorry, I pointed to that little one, but it's that one. And there's some, well, I can't remember what it's called. I'll say it in the next thing. It's End the Alliance protest or something it's called. So yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see. Try not to get run over as well. Very small group of people, hasn't really grown. Like, it's only a minimal number of people here. There was a lady across the street with an Australian flag draped around her, which I'm not sure if she's planning on coming over or if it's anything else, or it's just independent of this, but we shall see. Anyway, half the group now have gone across the street. So maybe it is Antoinette Latouf coming out, because then in the background there's more mainstream media people turning up. There's someone there, the guy out of in the blue suit with the light shining on him. I don't know his name, but he's a mainstream media reporter. But no, they're still walking along. So I'm not sure what the game is. The cops are. They sent the cop. They sent one cop with them, but then he's left now. So it's just I think they're just across the street. I don't know. Who knows? And I don't know who's coming out of court, but they're getting ready for it. There's 3 lots of mainstream media cameras now, all together. Here you go. The cops are going over now to have a word to these guys. To say, maybe they're going to say, hey, it's one side or the other. I'll do a bit of jaywalking while we're waiting. So they're coming across to say something to them. Might as well go and film it, eh? And the mainstream media, you got 2 lots of cameras and several lots of lights. So I think the cop is saying to them, yeah, get back on the other side. I don't know what he's saying, to be honest, because I can't see, but he's giving them indications, because they got their little speaker music thing here as well. Yeah, I thought they might have been coming for Antoinette. Oh, they got the sign. They got a sign as well. So maybe the cops are just telling them to keep it all in one, keep it all in one place, which is on the other side. And look at there, here's their speaker, and no to AUKUS, yes to peace, rainbows, and all sorts, yes, whatever, all sorts of other stuff. So yeah, I had another bit of a breeze through what the issue is, and they want to stop the submarine deal that's gone ahead, and they want to cut alliances with the US and various other things. They have a list of things which is on their site. Oh no, they are doing a sign here. So it's facing the street, so I'll probably get a better shot from the other side. But maybe the cops weren't that harsh about it in the end. The cops are back over there chatting. It's been supposed to have kicked off 20 minutes ago. There's a very small crowd here. They've got a beep just then. That's about the first one. And yeah, so we'll just sit tight, see what happens first. These guys kick off, or Antoinette Latouf comes out, which I don't know if it is her. I'm just making that assumption, because it was all on last week. I don't know if it's even continued over to today. And I haven't been watching the news, so I don't really know what's going on. But they always come out of this doorway, and the media must have to stand. I guess they get them coming straight out, unless they bugger off and come around the corner. Anyway, that's enough raving for me. So elbow, yeah, I'm trying to read it backwards. Of genocide, accessor. Elbow, accessor to genocide. So there we go. Accessor. All right, let's wander back over the other side. We'll get a photo of that. Oh, there is a Y, accessory to genocide. I couldn't see it written backwards. So elbow, accessory to genocide. That's outside the federal court building, and then directly opposite this building, which is the Mint. More signs to come out as well, they'd say, when it kicks off. And the crowd is reasonably small in number, but it may build. I doubt it though, because it's gotten past it. It's like 25 to half an hour past the start time now. But I guess whoever's inside here, this conference or whatever, as they come out, maybe that's what they want to do. But often there is parking. I mean, there's no, you know, you can't drive out here. So often they will just come out through the back because there'll be a car park, or there isn't. Both of these, they go back to the domain. So if I walk around there, I'll probably miss what else is going on. So I'll sit tight.
Free Palestine!
Free, free Gaza!
Free, free Gaza!
Free, free Gaza!
Free, free Gaza!
So for tonight's protest, I'm going to chair. My name is Angus. I'm a member of Students Against War at the University of Sydney, where we've been organising against our university's ties to Israel, against our university's ties to the AUKUS nuclear submarine program, and Australian and US imperialism. Before we begin tonight's protest, I'd just like to acknowledge that we're rallying tonight on stolen Gadigal land. Sovereignty was never ceded. So we're here outside this conference being hosted by the United States Studies Centre to help deliver the AUKUS nuclear submarine program. And we're here tonight to say that we oppose any alliance between Australia and the US, and to demand that Albanese cut all ties with Israel. People would have seen Trump's outrageous comments calling for the ethnic cleansing of Gaza just recently. And even just today, Trump calling for the Gaza ceasefire to be cancelled if Hamas fails to release every single hostage by this weekend. People would also have seen the shameful response from Albanese refusing to condemn Trump's outrageous comments, refusing actually to call it for what it is, which is an open call for ethnic cleansing of Palestinians. So we're here tonight to say that there is no place for this warmongering conference that's happening behind us right now. This conference is bringing together representatives of arms companies like BAE Systems, who have profited from an armed Israel genocide in Gaza for over 15 months now. They're coming together with representatives of Albanese's own government, who are in there tonight to discuss how to deepen the ties between Australian imperialism and US imperialism and Trump's maniac regime, which is calling for ethnic cleansing in Gaza. And they're meeting with representatives from universities like our own, like Sydney University, like UNSW, who are there tonight to discuss what role the universities could play in this drive to war on China, in the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians. Right now, they're in this building behind us having their drinks and discussing how to advance that relationship between Australian and US imperialism. They're here for this conference, which is being hosted by the United States Studies Centre. That's a centre which is run out of and in partnership with my university, the University of Sydney. It's a centre which exists solely to be a mouthpiece for US imperialism, a mouthpiece for the slaughter of millions of people in the Middle East and in the Pacific, a mouthpiece for the AUKUS nuclear submarines program, which it costs $368 billion and drive us closer to war on China. They exist to host conferences like this and to counter public opposition to the military alliance between Australia and the US. They're here to help speed up the drive to war on China, so students and staff at the University of Sydney are opposed to the co-opting of our education by these genocide profiteers, by these warmongers like BAE Systems, like the Albanese government, like the United States Study Centre. So we're here tonight to have this protest. We'll have a few speakers lined up. Our first speaker is going to be Abigail, a member of the Greens, member of Parliament in New South Wales.
I'm not as loud as you. Am I as loud as you? Alright. Sorry, oh, there we go. I got there in the end. Hello. I am Abigail Boyd. I am a Greens MP in the New South Wales Parliament. I've just ducked out here during a very boring committee reports. I would like to start by acknowledging that we are, of course, meeting here on the lands of the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. Sovereignty was never ceded. This land is, was, and always will be Aboriginal land, and I cannot give that acknowledgement without also acknowledging the sovereignty of the Palestinian people over Gaza and the lands of Palestine. And we fight every day to ensure that people are remembering and keeping their eyes on Gaza, because that fight, that genocide is far from over. Thank you so much for coming out. It is so important that you do what you do, because what we have behind us in this building is secrecy. We have a industry that is doing deals with government, that is doing deals with universities, that's doing deals with TAFE and schools, and it is doing it under the cover of secrecy. And if they wanted you to know, this would be far more public. And by being here, you are drawing attention to the fact that you know what they're doing in there. And this is really important, because who here got asked if we wanted to be part of AUKUS? Did anybody get asked in Australia if we wanted to be part of AUKUS? If we wanted to tie ourselves to the US to make ourselves less safe, to spend $368 billion that could be spent on hospitals, on schools, on lifting people out of poverty, on relieving the cost of living crisis. Did anyone ask you if you wanted instead to put your money and give it to the US and maybe see a submarine one day, who knows, and make Australia less safe? Who got asked? Nobody got asked. And so if they're so proud, if they're so happy with what they've done, with tying themselves to a country that is now helmed by a literal madman who wants to ethnically cleanse Gaza, if they're so proud, why didn't they ask you that question and make it very, very public before they signed that deal? Because they know that it's dirty, and they know that you don't approve and that the public don't approve. Now, the Greens in the federal election, we're going to ask you that question. We're going out with a policy of scrapping AUKUS, and we're going to be asking voters for support and saying, hey, what do you want your money spent on? And how do you want to keep Australia peaceful and safe? Because we know from all of the polling that people aren't a fan of what's going on in this building behind us. And I'll finish by saying, not too far ago, or maybe 4 months ago, I was in budget estimates with the New South Wales government, and I was asking the Minister for Industry, how many jobs in weapons manufacture in New South Wales is too many? And he could not give an answer. He said, any job is a job. I said, have you asked the people of Western Sydney if they want jobs in weapons manufacture around the airport there? He said no, of course he hadn't. So yet again, we have governments making decisions without asking the community and signing us up for jobs in making weapons that then get used to target civilians in other countries. It is absolutely shameful. So thank you so much for coming out. Every time you do this, it makes a difference. Keep raising your voices, keep writing emails and telling the media and telling other people what is happening here, because it's only by keeping our attention on the governments that we will actually finally achieve peace. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Abigail, for that speech. It's really great to have the support of Greens MPs here tonight to oppose this conference, which, as you said, is not in any of our interests. It's not in the interest of Australian workers to be put to work manufacturing weapons, which are then used to slaughter Palestinians and used to increase the imperialist tensions in this region in the drive to war on China. It's not in the interest of university students to have our courses cut to make way for courses which are preparing for more death and destruction. At ANU, they've announced hundreds of millions of dollars of budget cuts, much of that coming from staff fees, staff pay. They're going to cut hundreds of staff at the ANU, but they don't have to cut the nuclear engineering program that they built a new physics building for. It's disgraceful what they want to do to our universities and to workplaces. So we're here tonight to oppose any further moves in that direction, any further alliance with the US military, and any further Australian support for Israel's war crimes in Gaza. So we might do some more chanting so that the criminals in that building can hear us. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free.
Palestine will be free.
From the river to the sea,
From the river to the sea,
Palestine will be free.
Palestine will be free.
Our next speaker is Adelpour from Stop the War on Palestine, one of the groups that's helped organise tonight's protest against this conference.
Hey everyone, yeah, thanks for coming out today to expose what is happening behind us in that building, where disgracefully we've got Albanese government officials, Min's government officials, universities, TAFEs, all sitting round the table with the butchers that sold the weapons to Israel, to the fighter jets, the likes of BAE Systems, who made record profits while Israel set records for the most amount of bombs dropped on the women, children, the civilians of Gaza, slaughtering tens of thousands. That is what is on the CV of the arms companies in that room, you know, discussing how they can build these nuclear submarines and bring the kind of devastation that we've seen in Gaza to this region, and profit from it as well. And, you know, you look at the list of who's in there, the ANU, like Angus said, it's put on by the Sydney Uni US Study Centre. There's UNSW representatives there, there's TAFE inside that building who have a partnership with BAE Systems in Newcastle. Shame. And, you know, the disgraceful actions of the US Study Centre shouldn't go unnoted. This place, as Angus mentioned, was set up as a laundry for the US government's crimes that it was committing in Iraq. It was set up with the help of Rupert Murdoch, with the help of John Howard, with the help of George Bush, in a situation where the US carried out a war that killed 1 million people in Iraq. And it was set up to counter so-called anti-US sentiment. And here they are meeting with the Australian government officials and the arms manufacturers, continuing that appalling work today. And this place actually had to declare itself on the Foreign Interference Transparency Register because it was funded by the US State Department, the same US state now controlled by the maniac Donald Trump. And that hasn't changed a thing about what they're doing. So I think this, what this conference represents is, there's a reason they're hiding it, as Abigail said. You're talking about Donald Trump sitting in the White House cheering for genocide. Netanyahu sitting next to him grinning. And these people are coming together to discuss how to strengthen the alliance with the United States and with Trump.
Hamas lost, sorry guys. Sorry Hezbollah lost. I'm sorry that Hamas lost.
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Gaza!
Free, free Gaza!
Free, free Palestine! Free, free Gaza!
What Albanese is doing is giving a green light to legitimising genocidal statements that are coming out of Trump's mouth. And he's emboldening that kind of bigoted, hateful behaviour on the streets, in the workplaces, in the universities as well. And, you know, this is happening on the day that Trump is making clear he wants to derail the ceasefire in Gaza, egging on Netanyahu to restart the genocide and the mass killing at the same pace he was doing before. So, you know, Albanese has been accused of rewarding terrorism. Well, with what he's doing with AUKUS, he is rewarding terrorism. The terrorism of the United States, the terrorism of Israel, the terrorism of Trump, by continuing this alliance. So this nuclear submarine program, it's going to shovel $398 billion to the likes of BAE Systems. It's part of a broader project of militarisation, which is giving hundreds of millions to the likes of Lockheed Martin, who make the fighter jets that are dropping the bombs on the kids in Gaza. Albanese just gave almost $800 million to Trump for AUKUS. And this is in a cost of living crisis. This amount of money could end homelessness now. $368 billion. It could fund schools properly, it could fund hospitals properly, it could fund dental care. But instead they're giving it to Lockheed Martin and BAE Systems. who should be wanted for war crimes the same way Netanyahu is. But yet the broader project of militarising the Australian continent that AUKUS is part of is terrifying. They used bases in the north of Australia to bomb Yemen at the end of last year. They refueled B-2 nuclear weapons capable bombers over Australia to bomb Yemen and to aid Israel in its terrorising of the region. And those nuclear weapons capable bombers can carry nuclear weapons without notifying the Australian government. That is the kind of alliance that Albanese is entering into and advancing as we speak. It's what they're discussing in this room. And you know, the alliance now, it is with Trump, the champion of genocide, the bigot, the bully, the guy who's saying he wants to clear out Gaza and it's a real estate opportunity. And it's been disgusting to see the media and politicians explain it away. Oh, it's just his real estate instinct. As if every terroristic, colonialist, invader, imperialist didn't think the same thing. We can make money, we can get advantage out of invasion, out of genocide, out of slaughter. So that doesn't excuse Trump, that he sees a real estate opportunity, it just condemns him. The same way it condemns, you know, Belgium's King Leopold in the Congo, or the French in Algeria, or the British with what they did to the indigenous people here. His crimes need to be fought now in every means we have possible, which is boycotting, it is sanctioning, it is cutting the ties with Israel, with the weapons companies, getting them out of the tapes, getting them out of the universities. And the fact they're hiding should embolden us to defy the threats, defy the repression, defy the smears of anti-Semitism they're using to try and stop us doing that and building that kind of movement in the community. It's not at our rallies that you see the Hitler salutes, is it? It's at Trump's inauguration that you see the Hitler salutes and the anti-Semites being given the green light to celebrate the Nazis and the Holocaust. Our movement is an anti-racist movement, it's an anti-imperialist movement, it's a movement of equality and justice. The justice means nothing until everyone has it, including the Palestinians. So, we got good news today and proof that the campaigning works. Students at Sydney Uni and staff have been campaigning to cut ties with an art school in Israel called Bezalel Art Academy that after October 7 started making uniforms for the IDF and sewing patches on those uniforms saying "Love from Bezalel." That art school that was uncovered has a partnership for exchange with the art school SCA, Sydney College of the Arts at Sydney Uni. We protested outside the graduation art exhibition. Hundreds of people signed a petition. We protested, we exposed all the artists that have been killed by Israel in Gaza. We told everyone about this agreement, and today we got in writing from the university that exchange agreement will not be renewed. It expires this year. It's gone, and it's the first of many ties that will go the same way. So just to finish, we're going to take our message to end AUKUS, end the US alliance, cut the ties with Israel, cut ties with Trump, to Albanese's office on March 22 before the election. We encourage you to join Stop the War on Palestine, take the leaflets, build the action in your community, through your networks, at your university, at your school, at your TAFE, and make sure there's an army of people marching on his office saying we're not going anywhere until every tie with Israel is cut.
I think it's really important to remember that when Sydney University tried to stop our movement, when they suspended us, when they brought in new policies which banned protests on campus, banned banners on campus, banned lecture announcements, banned leafleting, that they could not stop students from organising to cut ties with Israel, and they have not stopped us from cutting that tie with Bezalel today. So it's a lesson for the campaign that we must not accept the repression. We do not let the universities who want more death, more destruction, set the terms on which we support Palestine. We didn't accept their crackdown on our right to say intifada, on our right to support the Palestinian resistance, on our right to campaign, and we won today against Bezalel. But as Adam said, we need to keep winning. Next tie is Technion. They make the remote control bulldozers used to destroy Palestinian homes. They developed the technology used to repress Palestinian protesters, and the fight has to continue until every single one of those ties is cut, until every program within Israeli university is gone, until the military programs are out of our universities, until the US bases are out of Australia, no matter what repression the governments, the universities try to bring on us. So our next speaker is a long-time campaigner against the US bases in Australia, a member of the Communist Party, Doherty, somewhere over here.
Thanks everyone, and thanks to the organisers, and I pay my respects to the people, to the people's land that we stand on. This land was never ceded, and we are standing on stolen land, and we always remember that. I want to reflect for a minute on the US alliance with Australia. Australia has really started into this alliance in 1950, and none of you would remember that Bob Menzies was the Prime Minister then, and he pleaded with the United States, and he pleaded and he pleaded, and finally they reluctantly signed the AUKUS Treaty. And from that point onwards, we have been involved with the United States. Our ruling class, our big business have signed up, have put their weight and their shoulders behind the US military alliance. And it's been going since 1950. And it's caused all sorts of costs. All sorts of costs. The original cost was Australians going to the war in Korea. And we all know, I don't need to repeat to you the wars that Australia have been as a result of that US alliance, and the damage that we've done in coalition with the United States, and the money we have spent. Just a little piece of information: the money that is spent on the veterans each year is equivalent to what the Australian government puts into government schools. That's how much we have paid for the US alliance. And there are other ways we've paid. We've left pristine parts of our tropical north to the United States to use whenever they like, to use for arms exercises. And there's a huge exercise due this year in July called Talisman Sabre 2025. And there'll be people from all over the area coming to Australia to exercise. And what will they be practicing? They'll be practicing how to invade China. And that's the sort of thing, and that's the sort of thing we've been doing since 1950. We have been laying, putting ourselves on the line for the United States. And along comes Trump, and he puts tariffs on our iron and aluminium. Yep. And after all that money, all those people who lost their lives, all those veterans who are traumatised, all the donations and support we've given the United States, what did we get from Trump today? Our Prime Minister got up and breathlessly proclaimed that we might get an exemption. It's under consideration. That's all we got. 70 years of grovelling, we get it's under consideration while they destroy our industries with tariffs. This is the sort of country that we're involved with. We're involved with a country, the United States, which is powerful and doesn't care about anybody else. And that's the sort of alliance we're in. And that's what we're here to break. And we're we've had enough. Enough is enough. And Trump should be the end of the alliance. Instead, the Labor government is finding all sorts of ways to accommodate him, to look after him, to not get into this enormous bullying. So it's time the US alliance was finished. It has to be finished. The US, a lot of the commentators are saying the US empire, the US dominance is on the decline. Yes. Why would we get with a declining power? We've got to come to our senses in Australia. Now let me deal with Israel for a second. Israel started the war by getting $4 million annually from the United States. Immediately when they started the war, the United States gave them $18 billion.
Shame.
The bombs that have been dropped on Gaza, 70% of them came from the United States.
Shame.
30% came from Germany.
Shame.
Let me just tell you about how bad things are, if you didn't already know. You know, from time to time Israel has these operations. A few years ago they had an operation called Cast Lead. And in Cast Lead, the Israelis destroyed 18,000 homes. In the current war, they've destroyed 30,000.
Shame.
Sorry, 300,000.
Shame. That's disgraceful.
300,000 they've destroyed. In Cast Lead, they killed 500 children. 500 children 6 or 7 years ago in Cast Lead. In this one, they've killed 15,000 children.
War criminals!
And in Cast Lead, they created 2.5 tons of rubble. 2.5 tons of rubble. In this current one, they have created 50 million tons of rubble.
Murderers!
And presently they are refusing to let earth-moving vehicles into Gaza to clean up that rubble.
Shame.
That's the sort of meanness and nastiness. Now it gets worse. We can't mention the word Hamas because they have been declared a you know what. But Hamas did apply to break the boycott on Gaza, did apply diplomatic measures, did apply all sorts of measures. And finally they decided to use non-violent direct action. And they got into a group like this, only it was much bigger, and they marched towards the fence. You know the 8-metre fence that goes around Gaza? They non-violently marched to that, and it was called the March of Return. You know what the Israelis did? They got every sniper in their country to line along that wall. Every sniper. And they gave them these instructions. Give a headshot to every medic. Give a headshot to every journalist. If there's a child, hit them below the knee so they have life-changing injuries. If they are double amputees, hit them nonetheless. Now they reported at the end of that march that all their bullets hit their targets. How satanic can you get? What other word can you use for Israel? That it's so satanic. And the other day, when Netanyahu was in the White House, did any of you see what he gave Trump? He gave Trump a beautiful piece of wood. And in the middle of that wood, was a golden pager. And the words said, use both hands. You will recall that that Mossad weaponized those pages. So those pages went off at a particular time. If the person carrying that pager was in a grocery shop, bad luck. if it was in the hands of their child, where their child lost his fingers or lost an eye. It was a war crime. It's been memorialised by that gift to Trump. And Trump, when he got it, he said, "Gee, that was a good project, wasn't it?" I mean, this is the cold-heartedness of Israel. This is what we've got to struggle against. This is it, and it goes deeper than that. The whole society in Israel is for the genocide. In their parliament, 90 out of 120 voted to get rid of UNRWA, and this is what we're up against, and it's great that you're here. Now, sorry. The last thing, though, is that I wanted to tell you that when the United States gave weapons, those weapons came from companies that are presently behind us here. I want to draw your attention to a particular bomb. It's called the GBU-31. In common language, it's a bunker buster. And a bunker buster is a 2,500 pound bomb got from 40,000 feet. It comes down so fast that it penetrates 5 metres into the earth. So when you see those images of buildings going down, that's what did them. Now the company that did them has attached to these dumb bombs precision instruments, and the precision that makes them go, say for this building here, is provided by Pine Gap. The coordinates are provided by Pine Gap. So that company is called Boeing. The head of Boeing Australia is a person by the name of Brendan Nelson. You may not remember him, but Brendan Nelson was a doctor. And when he became Defence Minister, we rushed onto the web and we read his inaugural speech. And in his inaugural speech, he said, "I'm guided by 2 things, the Hippocratic Oath and my training by the Jesuits in morality." So we said to him, how come, if they're your 2 things, how come you're now the Defence Minister whose very purpose is to go around killing people, harming people, because the Hippocratic Oath says they do no harm. Now that's the man who got $250 million to change the war memorial. He's the man who's in charge of Boeing Australia. And this revolving door, this is how we're all connected in to this war fighting. This is what we've got to stop. We've got to stop the revolving door. We've got to get away from the alliance. We've got to be humane and humanitarian. This last 16 months have been absolutely horrible. I can't think of a word that expresses our horror. And yet we're here. People like Albanese are turning the other way. So comrades, keep going with this. Keep joining with all sorts of groups and so on, and work together to defeat Trump, to defeat the people who are trying to suppress you, to suppress protests about Israel, because Israel needs all the protests and all the sanctions that we can manage. Thank you, everyone.
Zionist killers! Zionist killers!
Thanks, Dennis, for that speech. I really agree about the need to break the US alliance, the military alliance between Australia and $68 billion spent on nuclear submarines for a war on China. We have no interest in that, and we must oppose it. We oppose any alliance with Trump. It wasn't a moment of weakness that led Albanese to refuse to condemn Trump's calls for ethnic cleansing in Gaza. That is the fact of the Australian military alliance with the US and with Trump, and we oppose it. If Albanese won't stand up to Trump, we will. We'll stand up to the rotten agenda in the schools, in the universities that are doing research for the weapons. We'll stand up to the weapons factories that are out in Sydney and in New South Wales building the weapons of war used in Israel and that would be used in a war on China. We must keep up the fight, as Dennis said, so I think we could do some more chanting to make sure that the criminals inside hear us again. Albanese, can you hear? We won't build your weapons here. Albanese, can you hear?
We won't build your weapons here.
Albanese, can you hear?
We won't build your weapons here.
Albanese, can you hear?
We won't build your weapons here.
Donald Trump, can you hear?
We won't build your weapons here.
Donald Trump, can you hear?
We won't build your weapons here.
Donald Trump, can you hear?
We won't build your weapons here.
We just have one more speaker tonight. Our last speaker will be a member of Teachers and School Staff for Palestine in New South Wales, a staunch activist, Epie.
I start with acknowledging the traditional custodians of this land, to pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, and any Aboriginal people here with us today. This was, is and always will be Aboriginal land. My name is Epie and I am a member of Teachers for Palestine. I am unwavering in my stance for a free Palestine from the river to the sea, an end to ethnic cleansing, an end to the occupation, an end to the genocide. We have attended almost every PAG rally on a weekly basis at Hyde Park, as well as travelling to Canberra, Newcastle and Katoomba to attend protests there. More locally, we have attended 2 protests at Conda Park High School due to a young Palestinian man not being allowed to attend his Year 12 formal simply because he wore a keffiyeh to his graduation assembly. We have protested outside Caltex petrol stations, outside Albanese's residence at Kirribilli House, in front of Jason Clare, the Labor Education Minister's office in Bankstown, and we will not stop. We will not stop screaming and using our voices to do whatever it is necessary to force this Zionist-pleasing, genocide-appeasing,
Labor government, racist
Labor government to act, to boycott the Zionist entity, to sanction them, to kick out their ambassador, and to cut all ties with the apartheid, racist, genocidal entity. Since the start of the so-called ceasefire, which came into effect on the 19th of January, the terrorist, baby-killing Zionist entity has murdered over 110 Palestinians in the West Bank, including a pregnant mother and her unborn child. Her name was Sandas Shalaby. She was a person, a human being, a woman, a pregnant woman. Remember her name, Sandas Shalaby. She had dreams, she had aspirations. She would have been looking forward to the birth of her child, of her future. She deserved the right to live. Her child deserved the right to live. But we know who they are. The last 16 months have shown us this. They murder, they kill, they rape, they torture, they bomb churches, they bomb mosques, they bomb hospitals, they bomb schools, they starve people, they target children, they kill babies. We cannot remain silent, and we will not, even as our voices shake, as our livelihoods are threatened, and as calls to silence us increase. During the supposed ceasefire in Gaza, Saddam Raja, a child who was shot by a terrorist Zionist sniper, died of his wounds. His name was Saddam Raja. He was a child, and yes, this was during the so-called ceasefire. Recently, Trump has announced that the US government is going to take ownership of Gaza and ethnically cleanse the Palestinians of it. They have zero shame. When a journalist asked him if Palestinians would have a right to return if they leave when Gaza is being built back up, he replied, why would they want to? To which the reporter replied, because it is their home. Pretty simple for people who have an ounce of humanity. Palestine belongs to the Palestinians. It is their land. They are indigenous to it. It is absolutely mind-boggling that we need to point this out. Donald Trump says he wants to rebuild Gaza. And yes, he should, considering it was American bombs that destroyed Gaza. They should pay alongside other Western governments, including our own, and Arab nations who have been complicit in its destruction and the genocide of the Palestinian people. All Palestinians have an internationally recognised right of return. They have an inalienable right to resist, and they will. They will resist in Palestine and outside of it. And people like us, from every race, every religion, men, women and children, we are all part of this resistance. We all play our role. Long live the resistance! Long live the resistance! Long live the resistance! Occupation is a crime!
Occupation is a crime!
Occupation is a crime!
Occupation is a crime!
Genocide is a crime!
Genocide is a crime!
Genocide is a crime!
Genocide is a crime!
On top of this, they do not hide their goals of ethnic cleansing, land grabs and terrorism. I kid you not, when the war criminal and terrorist Benjamin Netanyahu was welcomed in the US by Donald Trump, he gifted him a golden pager in reference to the Zionist terrorist attack in Lebanon, to which Donald Trump accepted and happily said it was a golden operation. This is how he described the murder of innocent Lebanese people in a sovereign nation. Donald Trump, go to hell! Donald Trump, go to hell! Donald Trump, go to hell! Gaza is not for sale! Just today, Trump has said that the ceasefire will end if all hostages are not released by 12 p.m. this Saturday. He also threatened to cut financial aid to Egypt and Jordan if they continue rejecting the transfer of the Palestinian people out of Gaza. We know now, if we had doubts before, this was clearly not about the hostages. It was all about ethnic cleansing and a land grab to benefit the US and the Zionist entity. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and New South Wales Premier Chris Minns are passing so-called anti-hate speech laws. But what is the point when they are silent on racist hate speech from their powerful allies? They are silent when Elon Musk's Nazi salute and words saying Germans should stop feeling guilty about their past ties to a Nazi organisation in Germany. Donald Trump has openly called for the ethnic cleansing of Gaza. In response, Australia's racist opposition leader Dutton called him shrewd, reasonable and a big thinker. The coward, I'll say coward because that's what he is, Albanese, refused to comment because of his commitment to the US alliance and desperately wanting the nuclear subdeal with the US. Trump's words are not only hate speech, but hate action, because the US, by arming the Zionist entity, is enabling ethnic cleansing, which we know is what he wants. Australia contributes to this as well with a $900 million contract with Elbit Systems and a supplying of F-35 aircraft parts. No wonder when the same politicians claiming to stand against hate speech are enabling anti-Palestinian, anti-Muslim, anti-Arab racism in our schools, because their main concern is deflecting attention from Israel's genocide in Gaza. A teacher from a Palestinian background, Wasim Al-Haj, is the latest victim of discrimination. In 2023, he was asked to wear his kafiyeh to one of the school's multicultural days. In 2024, he wore the kafiyeh for 4 months without incident. But in May 2024, he was told he could no longer wear his kafiyeh at work and that he would face disciplinary action unless he complied. Since then, the Australian National Imams Council has reported that he faced months of repeated racial discrimination and harassment and bullying by senior officers from the New South Wales Department of Education. Wasim also recounted a meeting with a senior Department of Education official in which they said that they would also ask Jewish teachers to conceal symbols of them being Jewish. When Wasim said that such a stance was highly inappropriate and anti-Semitic, they responded that that was his opinion. Wasim says, "My father was born in Haifa. The kafaya helped me feel some comfort in terms of my own cultural connections as I carried on with my day. I felt a need to maintain a connection to the culture, to my culture. Neither Premier Chris Minns nor Education Minister Prue Carr will back Wasim's right to wear his kafaya." Teachers and school staff of Palestine has a rally against anti-Palestinian racism in schools at 4:30 p.m. on Tuesday, February 18th at 105 Phillip Street, Parramatta, outside the Education Department. We would appreciate your support and thank you. Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
From the river to the sea!
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 From the sea to the river!
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 Palestine will live forever!
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 There is only one solution!
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 Intifada revolution!
Intifada revolution!
Long live Intifada!
Long live Intifada!
Long live Intifada!
Long live Intifada!
Long live the resistance!
Long live the resistance!
Thanks so much, Epie, for that speech. As Epie mentioned, there'll be the teachers' rally coming up. I also have a few more announcements to make for rally. So Dennis asked me to shout out that the Sydney Anti-AUKUS Coalition protest against US bases on February 22nd at 2 p.m. at Garden Island. You can talk to Dennis for more information. Stop the War on Palestine is organising a pre-election march on Albanese's office, like Adam talked about. 1 p.m. Saturday the 22nd of March, meeting at Sydenham Station. And Students Against the War is organising a national day of action on the 26th of March to call for every single tie between our universities, Israeli universities, and the military to be cut. But before we go tonight, there's been a request that we take a group photo. So maybe if people want to bunch in a little bit more, or just stay where you are, and someone can take the photo while we do some more chants. Who is taking the photo? Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Gaza!
Free, free Gaza!
Free, free Gaza!
Free, free Gaza!
Donald Trump, go to hell!
Donald Trump, go to hell!
Gaza is not for sale!
Gaza is not for sale!
Donald Trump, go to hell!
Donald Trump, go to hell!
Gaza is not for sale!
Gaza is not for sale!
From the river to the sea!
From the river to the sea!
Palestine will be free!
Palestine will be free!
From the river to the sea!
From the river to the sea!
Palestine will be free!
Palestine will be free!
That wraps up tonight's rally. Hopefully the criminals gathered inside have heard us. Thanks everyone for coming out and being loud. See you at the next rally.